The story starts in the US in 2077 when people learn about a coming nuclear war. At a party, everyone gathers to watch the news about the president going missing and the risk of nuclear attacks. With this scary news, the birthday party goes on, and we see a man named Cooper Howard who shows off his rope tricks to his kids. Suddenly, a nuclear bomb goes off and life as they know it ends. People run to a nearby safe place called the Vault, and some get there and go underground, while others try to get away in cars. Cooper leaves on a horse even though there are many nuclear bombs going off, and jumping ahead to 219 years later, we meet Lucy McLean, and she lives in Vault 33, which is deep underground. She asks the leaders if she can trade with Vault 32 every 3 years. Even though her cousin Chet doesn't like it, Lucy gets ready to meet the man that she might marry at the entrance of Vault 32. She tells him that they need to stop being related, and when the doors to the vault opens, Lee Moldover, who seems to be in charge of Vault 32, welcomes Lucy. Lucy's future husband, Monty, seems nice, but she feels shy and talks about how many kids he can have at dinner. And this kind of shocks everyone. Their dinner is stopped by people in charge who think it's safe for Monty and Lucy's kids to live above ground, but they warn that they don't know what's waiting for them there, like maybe a lot of problems. And after the wedding, Lucy and Monty attempt to start their new life. But what they and many others in Vault 33 don't know is that the vault next door is in very bad state. Their food is gone, and they're out of supplies, and everything is a mess. During this, Lucy's brother Norman goes exploring and finds out that the person who used to be in charge was killed. People get worried when they hear screams outside, which means that bad guys have gotten into their vaults. In the mess, Lucy fights back, but when the alarm goes off, she hits Monty and then sees that she's also hurt. Even though she's still in her wedding dress, Lucy tries to fight the bad guys, but they were too strong for the people in the vault. In a tough spot, Moldover gives a hard choice: either save Lucy or let many others from the vault be taken. During this, Hank, Lucy's dad, makes the sad choice to give himself up to save his daughter, and he's put to sleep and taken to the real world. Back in the vault, the people who are still alive have an urgent meeting, and Lucy wants to put a group together to look for her dad, but the others refuse. In the end, Norman helps Lucy open the door, letting her step into the new world that she's never experienced before. She's shocked by the damage around her as dead bodies cover the ground and the area is empty, but they're close to the sea, showing a bit of beauty amongst the ruins. Next we see Maximus, who is part of the Brotherhood of Steel, a group trying to bring back order to the world. Maximus is told off by his teacher Felix for not knowing enough and is scolded when he talks when he shouldn't have. Maximus feels he doesn't fit in this world, especially when his friend Dane is chosen to go into the wild while he's left behind. To make things worse, the other members of the Brotherhood are mean to him all the time, treating him badly. The next day, Dane is hurt when razor blades are found in her shoe, and people think Maximus did it, and he's taken away to be questioned. Even though he secretly wants bad things to happen to Dane, Maximus says he didn't do anything. He admits that he wants to show the Brotherhood that he's good enough to be one of them, ready to do whatever it takes. To his surprise, Maximus is given Dane's job as a helper, which is a step closer to being accepted by the Brotherhood. When he visits Dane, she tells him that she stood up for him, thinking that he wouldn't hurt anyone. After hearing this, Maximus feels guilty but is thankful for her help. Now officially a part of the Brotherhood, Maximus and his friends are told about their next job: to catch a runaway from the Enclave who has a dangerous thing. They're dressed in knight armor and they start their job to stop the runaway no matter what. News of the Brotherhood's job reaches even far off Wild, getting the attention of a group of robbers led by Slim the Honcho. They look for a hidden person known as the Ghoul, who turns out to be Cooper, the rope trick master from the start of the movie. Cooper, now called the Ghoul, easily beats the robbers with his great shooting skills and quietly goes away, leaving behind a path of beaten enemies. We meet a new character, Wilzig, who works for the Enclave. He's part of a group of scientists working on making the best dogs. Sadly, if the newborn puppies don't weigh enough, they're killed off. Wilzig seems to be up to something bad, especially when he takes a strange pill his favorite dog, CX-404, and his loyal friend, raised since he was a puppy. When another scientist finds out what Wilzig was doing and rings the alarm, CX-404 protects its owner by attacking the person who found out. Wilzig uses this chance to run away with CX-404 into the wild, and it turns out that this dog is a valuable target chased by both the Brotherhood and the Ghoul. As Lucy continues her search for her dad, she makes a camp for the night. Her fire gets noticed by Wilzig, who tells her about the risks of getting too much attention. He tells her to get used to the tough world that they live in, and hints that what she cares about might change as she gets used to it. After giving his warning, Wilzig leaves into the night, letting Lucy look after her fire. Luckily, nothing scary comes near her camp, and at the same time, Wilzig and his dog go into a place filled with radioactive waste. The dog finds a cut-off hand, showing that there's a scary creature close by. This happens at the same time as Maximus, who finds himself going with Knight Titus on a job. They get to the entrance of a cave with a big gun and go inside together. Titus tells Maximus to look deeper into the cave with their target, and as Maximus looks around, the enemy suddenly shows up behind Titus, who runs out of the cave, leaving Maximus to deal with the threat by himself. After a tough fight, Maximus beats the creature, but Titus keeps putting him down. Tired of the mean words, Maximus decides not to help Titus and plans to take his armor and cast the target by himself to show that he's good enough. The next morning, Lucy gets to an empty house looking for directions, and the owner tells her that the nearby city of Philly is just over the hill, but warns her of its dangers. When he says he hasn't seen her dad either, he offers to be like a dad to Lucy's kids, and even though he offers to sell her old house, Lucy nicely says no, and later Lucy finds herself in the same woods as Maximus and follows a group of people to Philly. While there, she gets noticed by the Ghoul, who watches her from far away. At a shop close by, Lucy asks about Moldover, which quickly changes how the shopkeeper acts and tells Lucy to leave, saying that staying will only bring trouble to her. After leaving the shop, Lucy runs into Wilzig again, who warns her about the big differences between the world above and life in the vaults. But their talk gets the attention of the Ghoul, who decides to use the situation by pointing out the reward for catching Wilzig. Ma June, the shop owner, says that she's been paid a lot of bottle caps to make sure Wilzig gets to Philly safely. Without waiting for an answer, the Ghoul shoots off Wilzig's foot, and after that, the town becomes chaotic over reward for catching the Ghoul's head. Meanwhile, Lucy sneaks into the shop and finds Moldover's name in June's logbook. As she looks more, she sees a gun hanging on the wall and decides to take it for herself. As Lucy faces the Ghoul outside the shop, Maximus gets there just in time, wearing his armor, protecting her from a deadly hit. While Maximus and the Ghoul have a tough fight in the main square, Lucy and June work together to bring Wilzig inside to be safe. With the help of June's friend Barry, Wilzig's hurt leg is fixed with a metal fake leg, letting him get better. Meanwhile, Maximus has a hard time controlling his suit, realizing he needs to get better through more challenges. As for the Ghoul, he takes care of CX-404's injuries after first hurting the dog, and using a stem pack to heal him, the Ghoul plans to use the dog's great sense of smell to find Wilzig. Deep in the wild, Lucy and Wilzig make a lot of progress. Meanwhile, Wilzig finally chooses to end his life by taking his serum, but before dying, he tells Lucy to take his head to Moldover and change the future. In a flashback, we see Cooper's life before the nuclear war, and he's on a movie set for a western, but he's not sure about the direction of the script, especially the part where he's supposed to kill a bad guy. Cooper shares his script concerns with the director, who reveals that the writer was fired for his communist views, and they're now targeting a new American theme. In the present, the Ghoul with CX-404 finds only Wilzig's remains. Determined to find Lucy, the Ghoul follows her trail toward the city, and Lucy, ignoring Wilzig's advice, lights a night fire and notices something strange on Wilzig's neck. Maximus, impersonating Titus over the radio, mistakenly mentions his squire's death, quickly destroying the radio to hide his mistake. Trying to fix the armor, Maximus loses teeth and overspends, and ambushed by raiders, Maximus uses the armor to fight back. More enemies force Maximus to pretend to be Titus, and Thaddeus, a former bully, arrives with a message emphasizing their mission's importance. Lucy faces a mutant on the coastline and fights fiercely, and the ghoul arrives holding her at gunpoint, and a Gulper mutant steals Wilczek's head. The ghoul recognizes Gulper's threat, and back in the vault, Chet was reassigned, and Norman tends to jailed raiders. Maximus uses Thaddeus to retrieve Wilczek's body and tracks the ghoul and Lucy, and the ghoul uses Lucy as bait to retrieve Wilczek's head. After Lucy defeats the mutant, the ghoul takes her. The ghoul comments on the common Fallout game experience of getting sidetracked, and Thaddeus opens up about his past bullying within the Brotherhood. They reach the Gulper's area and confront it and defeat it, causing it to spit out Wilczek's head. CX-404 joins them and investigates the head, and Lucy, held captive by the ghoul, is led through a ruined town. The ghoul, Cooper, shoots a Vault-Tec banner, revealing his past connection to Vault-Tec. They reach the West Side Medical Clinic and meet another ghoul, Roger, and the clinic was filled with empty vials, and Roger resents Smooth Skins for their flawless appearance. Roger's ghoul transformation worsens, so the ghoul ends his suffering and consumes parts of him, and Lucy, disgusted, helps make jerky from Roger's body and drinks dirty water, facing survival realities. A vote for a new overseer is underway in the vault, with tensions rising, especially for Norman, the last and clean. Norman's opinion matters, but he feels guilty for his recent inaction. His suspicion about Vault 32 grows when denied access to its records and learns disturbing details from a prisoner. With Chet, they re-enter Vault 32 and find evidence of internal conflict and a chilling blood message. They learn raiders entered using Rose McLean's ID, deepening the mystery. Lucy and the ghoul head to the Super Duper Mart, where the ghoul plans to trade Lucy for vials to prevent his ghoul transformation. Inside, Lucy enters a robot, Snip Snip, who offers her a prosthetic finger and knocks her out. Lucy overpowers the robot, releases trapped ghouls, and kills a zombified woman. She leaves vials for the ghoul outside, refusing to become like him. The ghoul finds a stash of vials and a video of Cooper inside the mart, and Maximus and Thaddeus celebrate recovering Wilczek's head. Thaddeus insists on being branded as Titus Esquire, and Maximus brands him and reveals his true identity. Thaddeus tries to escape, but Maximus stops him and gets trapped in the armor when Thaddeus removes the fusion core. Lucy arrives to fend off attacking rat roaches and helps Maximus out of the armor, and she decides to trust Maximus. Norman and Chet explore Vault 32 to uncover why Rose's Pip-Boy opened the gate. They find more dead bodies at Vault 31's gate and a bloody message suggesting someone knew what was inside Vault 31. Betty was suspicious of them upon their return, and Lucy wakes up with a Rataway 1-4 in her arm and finds Maximus hiding in the armor. They agree to work together to retrieve Wilczek's head, with Lucy wanting Brotherhood's help to rescue her father. The Vault 33 election takes place with Betty, Woody, and Rigg as candidates, and despite Rigg's candidacy, Betty wins the election with a 98% vote. Lucy and Max walking alone railroad tracks discussing the world's history, including bombings post-2077. Lucy dismisses her memories of the outside world as nostalgia, and Norman, researching Vault 33, arrives, finds a pattern for Vault 31 members becoming overseers, including Betty. Lucy and Max meet two deceptive individuals on a bridge, who they then fend off, and disappointed by the election, Woody hears a saying linking Vault 31 to 33, aligning with Norman's findings. Chet, busy with Stephanie and their newborn, dismisses it as a slogan. Max and Lucy reach where Shady Sands once stood, and Max recounts its history and destruction due to disagreements on world salvation. Betty plans to renovate Vault 32, including relocation of half of Vault 33's residents, and Norman notices the destroyed Overseer's terminal, confirming his suspicion of a vault cover-up. Lucy and Max wake up in another vault, hinting at their location being Vault 4, as per Cooper Howard's advertisement. Cooper, the face of Vault-Tec, enjoys his high life, while his friend Bartholomew Codsworth, who sold his voice rights, emphasizes the marketability of the end of the world, and as war approaches, Cooper becomes disillusioned. People around Cooper trust the vaults and are trying to get a spot there, but Cooper, a war veteran, feels that the strict rules of the vaults, like no dogs and wearing blue uniforms, takes away their freedom. Even his wife Barb is trying to get their family into a vault. Meanwhile, Ghoul is captured by government agents and brought to their leader Sorrel. Even though he's captured, board, the ghoul is able to put his cut-off finger back on, and during their talk, the ghoul brings up Moldover, who Sorrel thinks is very dangerous. But when Sorrel isn't paying attention, the ghoul quickly takes him and his team out. Cooper remembers Moldover from a wanted poster at the bar, and he remembers her as a big fan from his past. At the same time, Lucy and Maximus were being taken care of in the vault, and they are told they'll be watched for a few hours to make sure they don't have any radiation. Lucy, not knowing what's going on, suggests that they just wait and even suggests getting close, but Maximus says no. Their room is marked as a test subject group, which seems kinda scary. They meet the Overseer, who seems interested in them, but it's clear that many people living in the vault are some kind of mixed humans. Lucy asks the Overseer about level 12, which he said was off limits before. He quickly ends the talk and tells her to leave when she brings it up, even spitting out his drink in shock. Meanwhile, Maximus was enjoying the vault's facilities like a warm shower and a typical Fallout gear like sugar bombs. He's sent to Unit 428 where he finds supplies and things to make him comfortable. On the flip side, Lucy finds a motel of shady sands on a chalkboard, showing that the vault is now run by the new Californian Republic. This discovery is highlighted by the familiar Fallout theme, making the moment more meaningful. In a meeting, Lucy and the other vault resident learn about a tradition from the surface dwellers that involves worshipping the Flame Mother by doing things like covering themselves in ashes and drinking blood. Lucy is upset by this ritual and feels like she doesn't belong. Wanting to find out the truth, Lucy goes to floor 12, where she meets a scientist named Birdie, who tries to stop her. Even though she tries, Lucy gets caught, and Maximus doesn't know what's happening because he's still in his room. We see two people looking for something with metal detectors, and they're main farmers, but when they get home, they find the ghoul in their kitchen, which the father doesn't like. Even though he's upset, he agrees to answer Cooper's questions, and they tell him that their son Tommy is part of Moldover's group and believes in her plan to make the world better. Sadly, Tommy being part of this has led to a sad event, with their oldest son Rufus being killed by the ghoul. Tommy tells them that Moldover is at the observatory before the ghoul shoots him, and in the past, Cooper fights with Moldover, who knows about Cooper's wife Barb. Moldover wants to get back to Voltec and asks for Cooper's help, and she talks about the ongoing fight for resources and thinks that anyone who doesn't support communism is crazy. Cooper puts a bug on his wife's pit boy to find out more. At the same time, Lucy is tied to Vault 4 and shown a video of scientists, including Overseer Hawthorne, being attacked by a gulper. The Vault's experiments are about mixing humans with species that can resist radiation to survive high levels of radiation, but it turns out that the experiments didn't work and the scientists died. As Lucy was about to be judged in Vault 4, Maximus steps in to save her, turning off the fusion cords and putting on his Brotherhood armor to face the people in the vault. But Lucy convinces him to give back the stolen core, and they decide to leave together to find Wilsig's head. At the same time, Thaddeus, who left the dog, goes to a pharmacy to get medical help in exchange for a fusion core. The doctor helps him but accidentally turns him into a ghoul, and while Thaddeus was waiting for his ride outside the pharmacy, he is suddenly stabbed in the neck, and Lucy and Maximus get there just in time to see the attack and realize that the doctor's treatment has changed Thaddeus forever. With the ghoul and the dog getting closer, Lucy and Maximus have to deal with a new danger and need to think carefully about what to do next. But at the same time, Norman goes deeper into Vault 31 and sees some shocking things. The vault looks empty with signs of fights and decay everywhere. Norman keeps exploring carefully and finds clues that give him an idea of what the vault's residents were like, and Maximus goes back to the Brotherhood, but things don't go well when he gives the Elder the wrong head. But Dane supports him, showing that he's loyal, and Maximus tells us the truth and offers to guide him to a valuable relic. The Elder sees that Maximus could be useful and agrees to his plan, and at the same time, Lucy finds her father alive at Moldover's base and offers her food to let him go. Moldover agrees but wants something in return, and Hank tries to stop Lucy from listening when Moldover says that he wasn't born in the vault. At the same time, Norman finds a brain in a jar in Vault 31 which has 50% of Hank's DNA, but isn't really Betty. He also finds something called buds, which are babies in test tubes made to keep humans going. In the past, Cooper finds out the Vault-Tec was planning against the world by causing the end of the world to make sure that they survive. Barb suggests using vaults that are connected as scientific experiments to save humans, and in the three vaults, Vault 31 has executives in deep sleep, while Vault 32 and 33 are places for chosen partners to have babies. These people are made in a lab to have babies with the buds to create a group of super managers who will take over Earth after cleaning the surface. This discovery goes along with the shocking fact that the government dropped the bombs on purpose to have control, and Hank, Lucy's father, was actually Barb's new helper, and his talk with Barb shows the truth about what the government did to the world. Following this, Barb repeats a famous phrase from the Fallout games, "War never changes." In the current time, Dane admits to hurting themselves with a sharp blade due to their fear of venturing into the wild, and the reason Moldover took Hank can be traced back to Lucy's mother, Rose. Rose had a suspicion that something was taking water away from the vaults, suggesting that life might be returning to the surface. Hank didn't believe her, which led to a disagreement, and Rose leaving to find out the truth. So Lucy's childhood story about feeling the warmth of the sun wasn't just a story. It was a memory, and she and Norman actually lived outside the vault with their mother Rose, until Hank came and ruined the city, forcing them to move inside. This grim reality reveals Vault-Tec's harsh conditions to get rid of rivals. Now Hank and Moldover want Lucy on their side, but learning about what happened to Rose brings a new aspect to the conflict. During this, we see Rose turned into a ghoul while sitting at table, proving the story of her burial was actually made up and false. It turns out that the cold fusion in Wilsig's neck was the key to bringing back civilization. As Lucy gets ready to turn the power on, alarms sound, indicating the Brotherhood's arrival. This imminent danger makes Lucy's decision more urgent, and as their Brotherhood fights with the NCR, Lucy understands the age-old truth that war never changes. The ghoul, taking advantage of the chaos, exploits the Brotherhood's weaknesses and quickly takes out the soldiers. In the midst of the darkness and confusion, Maximus shows up, freeing Hank from being held captive. However, the tension increases when Maximus finds out about Hank's part in the disaster at Shady Sands. In an unexpected twist, Hank puts on Brotherhood armor, takes down Maximus, and asks Lucy to obey him. Lucy, not ready to give up, gets ready to fight, but the ghoul steps in before things get worse. Cooper questions Hank about his lost family, but Hank runs away, leaving Cooper with more doubts than answers. Cooper suggests joining forces with Lucy to find out why Hank did what he did, and to face their makers. In the meantime, Lucy puts her mother Rosa out of her misery before she joins the gunslinger on their mission. After giving an unconscious Maximus a goodbye kiss, Lucy leaves, and at the same time, Norman, stuck in Vault 31, thinks about what will happen to him. Seeing no way out, he gets ready to get into deep sleep, and the story then goes back to Maximus, who wakes up in the middle of the mess left by the fight. With Moldover's last move, she turns on the cold fusion, bringing power back to the city nearby, and she then dies from her injuries. At this point, Dane shows up and thinks Maximus killed Moldover, so he calls him a hero, and this makes Maximus start to wonder who he should be loyal to. As the series ends in another place, Lucy and the gunslinger make it to Hollywood, continuing on their trip. At the same time, Hank finds a safe place in the famous town of New Vegas.
And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.